Two movements. This is crane spreads wings. This is ride the tiger. Got it? Okay, now I'm going to mix them up. Which one am I doing? If you're curious about why sometimes movements in Tai Chi look the same but have different names and what's the difference, stick around because I'm going to tell you all about it in today's lesson. Oh, and by the way, you're going to need a chair. Hi everybody, it is David-Dorian Ross and welcome to another episode of Learn Tai Chi at Home. Today is day number 88 of 100 Days of Tai Chi. It's a video series that we've been working on, a project where I'm teaching you the 103 movements of the traditional Yang family long form in 100 days. We're on day 88. We're almost done. Now, if you just joined in and you don't know, like, oh my gosh, did I come too late? I'm going to put a link right up here where you can go back to the beginning of this series and start from the beginning so you can catch up to us. So are you interested in finding better health, in living longer but feeling younger, in finding inner peace and tranquility, or maybe even defending yourself against attackers? Well, good news, you come to the right channel because that's what this is all about here. And I'm teaching you the ancient art of Tai Chi where you can learn it at home, and that's what it's all about. And if you're interested in taking some lessons and figuring out if you can learn Tai Chi at home, then all you've got to do is hit that subscribe button. And also the little bell that pops up next to it. When you hit that, it means that every time I put up another episode, you'll be notified so you'll never miss another lesson. Today's movement is called the Lotus Kick. It is the most difficult kick in the whole Tai Chi routine, but it's also like the big payoff, the big moment of the whole play. This is the moment you've been waiting for the entire routine, the pièce de résistance. After this kick, everything is sort of like downhill, literally, to the end. So this is the movement. After 96 movements, you've been waiting for just this one. So watch me one time, and then we're going to break it down kind of like layer one of this kick, right? So we are just coming from ride the tiger. All right, now I heard some of you swear just at that moment, I'm sure. But remember, we're doing layer one, and I've got a little bit of an exercise to do with us. So let's do the exercise first, and then we'll start breaking it down. And for that, you need the chair. Now, I picked a low chair here because the whole idea is that we want to start out very simple. So the Lotus Kick is so called because of this big circle, and a lot of the movements in Tai Chi are named after flowers or after lotus blossoms, things like this, which have a tendency to fall from the tree, fall from the branch, and spin as they descend. The lotus flower gives an image of this Lotus Kick, so you see this big circular kind of kick. So to prepare for that, have a chair and something to lean on here. And the kick is done with the right foot. So we'll start out with the right foot, but you can literally do this with either foot, and I recommend that you do this with both feet, right? So I'm going to come over to the inside corner of the chair, lift my foot up so that it clears the chair across and down again. So you get the whole length of the chair. I start out on the outside edge, bring it across, up and over and down. Bring it across, up and over and down. 10 times perhaps, that might be nice. Up and over and down. As you begin to bring it up and over and down, you'll notice that you have a tendency, an impulse to sort of lean back away from it. So get my foot up there. If you can, do the opposite. Lean forward and lean into the foot so that I'm leaning forward, leaning forward. Got it? And then you can do this with the other foot as well. Around, lean into it. Lean into it. Now, when we do the kick, we're going to actually start with the knee bent. So you're going to bend the knee here and then straighten and around. Right? I need to clear the chair here. The knee is bent, then it straightens and around. When we do the kick, we come from the knee is bent, then straightens and around. All right, but let's get to that in due course. All right, let's take a look at the basic footwork. I'm starting out in a position where I'm in an empty step, but the weight on the right foot, the left ball of the left foot is touching the ground. Now, the basic footwork is going to start with a pivot, turning on the ball of that foot while the weight is still on the right foot. So I'm going to turn a bit. Now I'm going to turn a bit more on the ball of the right foot, but I'm not going to shift the weight. I'm just going to keep it as just kind of a twist on the floor. Years and years ago, when I used to teach ballroom dancing, we would call this a cigarette turn, like in the old days when you drop your cigarette to the floor and crush it like that, sort of very Frank Sinatra or John Wayne kind of thing there. So you're going to pivot, then cigarette, and by this time you are facing all the way into the back 45-degree corner. So I'm coming from this angle, past 90, past another 90, and into the corner. Right? Now I'm going to pick up that left foot and swing it all the way around. I did that very ungracefully, but in the final position, I'm going to have both my feet parallel, pointing back to my original position. Right? As soon as I get there, the weight shifts to the left foot and the right knee comes up. All right? Now that's all we're going to do in today's lesson. We're just going to get to that position and we're going to hit the rest of the kick tomorrow. So let's go through this one more time. From the empty step, I pivot on the ball of the left foot to turn around to the corner. Then I pivot on the ball of the right foot to turn around to the next corner. And then I pick up that left foot and swing it all the way around and shift to the left foot, facing the opposite way here. Now I turn my body to the right, pivoting on that left foot. I turn my body more to the right, pivoting on the right foot, then spin on the right foot by swinging the left foot around. The weight shifts then immediately to the left foot because something more is coming. All right, now let's take a look at what the hands do here, because the hands do some very interesting things here. Remember, we are at the position of ride the tiger, so the left hand is palm out, blocking overhead or warding off overhead, while the left hand is down by the hip, palm down in this position. By the way, at the end of ride the tiger, my hips are squared, so I am squarely facing this direction. So the first thing that happens is the waist turns to the right. And as the waist turns to the right, just 45 degrees to the corner, that left hand comes forward and the right hand comes circling around until both hands, both arms and hands are sort of lined up right in the middle of your chest, sort of like almost stacked over here, right? So they came around in the middle. Now, right now, what's happening is that you're seeing, let me just kind of do mirror image so you can kind of get a sense of this. Right now, what you're seeing is a bit of a snapshot because the movement does not actually stop here. There's no pausing. In fact, one of the characteristics in tomorrow's lesson, when we sort of link all the dots here, is the continuous motion of this lotus kick. Trust me, if you do it section by section, it's a good way to learn it, but it's a terrible way to try to perform it because you'll get stuck. So, here's what I'm talking about. Here's the snapshot, the two hands sort of stacked over each other. But as soon as that happens, the right hand scoops under the left elbow and begins to trace a path under the left elbow and under the left arm. And that is when the first pivot happens. So I'm going to pivot all around and I finish pivoting on that left ball of the foot with both hands pointing into the corner. Right? You might say actually the right hand points in the corner, the left hand fingertips are pointing at the right forearm. All right, now I'm going to continue the next phase of this turn by pivoting on the right foot And now both hands are pointing into this corner. Okay, get ready for this big spin. Here we go, all the way around. And both hands are now pointing into this corner. I'm going to give you some reference points here. And the weight will shift over to the left foot. Okay, so now all these different corners. I'm going to flip the camera now so we can see the mirror view so that you can see where all these corners are. So here I am in the end position of Ride the Tiger. I turn my waist towards the right and both hands circle around until they're in the middle of the chest. Now my waist is turned 45 degrees from the center, right? And here I'm going to go right hand underneath the elbow, tracing that path, and I'm going to spin around, right? Now what I'll have done is I'll have passed through the open the door position, right? I'll have passed through, open the door to another corner, right? All the way to another corner. Right? So here I am, past, open the door, another 45 degrees. Now I'm going to go another 90 degrees and then spin all the way around until the final position here. I am back to, this is my original crane spread or Ride the Tiger position, and here's just 45 degrees off the corner. Boy, if you're not thinking that's as clear as mud by now, you're a smarter person than I am. All right, so that's what the hands are doing. We're going to take another look at the complete movement tomorrow as we link up all the dots. Let's take a look at it one more time in a little bit of a slow motion here. Now today's question of the day came from a bunch of different viewers. Colin was one of the viewers who asked this question. Mark asked this question, and several other people also. I just want to give some acknowledgement out to give a shout out to people who were very direct with it. But I did get a lot of questions about riding the Tiger, in that it looked very much like crane spreads wings. In fact, Colin even says it looks like the crane spreads wings in Chen style. And the answer is, you are not imagining things. It is very much like, in fact, in the final position, Ride the Tiger, crane spreads wings, even Chen style crane spreads wings, looks the same. And in fact, it is the same final position. But here's the thing, the final position is not what the movement or the technique is all about. It's not where you wind up on the journey, it's how you get there. So we want to take a look at what we call the development of the movement. Now, development is a term that we use to describe the process from the moment that the movement begins until we hit that final posture. And what we'll notice here is the big difference between Ride the Tiger and crane spreads wings is that one develops horizontally and one develops vertically. Now here's what I mean by that. In crane spreads wings, we're in a position where here, this is my right hand, scoops under and then essentially rises vertically like a ward-off hand, riding up, 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 slowly spiraling out until in the final position, we're in an empty step, one hand low, one hand high. But this whole thing has been a vertical development. But in Ride the Tiger, after we step back, we see the two hands circling horizontally, right? So going through this other plane to arrive in this position. And you want to think about it, that it is in this time frame when you are exerting leverage on your opponent or blocking or encountering another force. It's not at the end, like by the time you're here, it's all done. So it is what's happening in the middle that makes all the difference. And so Ride the Tiger is a horizontal development, whereas crane spreads wings is a vertical development. And by the way, Colin, just to answer your question, the method of going vertical in Chen style is to spiral very close up here and then unspiral at the very end there. So it's still vertical though. So that's the difference. Now, if you've got a question about Tai Chi technique, if you've seen a couple of movements and you go, hey, I've got the same question, but it's about this other movement, I'd love to know. So all you've got to do is write that down in the comments section. I still got a few more days before the end of the 100 days, and I'm going to continue to make videos after the 100 days is over, and we're going to have at least one video. Well, cross your fingers that I'm planning on one video a week, which is specifically about answering these kinds of questions about Tai Chi technique. So it'll be your weekly viewer Q&A kind of thing. So that's coming up. So write your questions down there in the comment section. I'd love to know about that. And thank you, Colin, and thank you, Mark, and all the other people who asked me about this particular movement. I really appreciate that. Well, that's the end of today's episode, but it's not the end of the instruction for this movement. So tomorrow we're going to take a look at sort of a part 2, another layer, another aspect of it. We've done the turnaround just before the Lotus Kick. Now we're going to see what happens in the Lotus Kick and how it ends. That's coming up in tomorrow's lesson. All right. Well, if this is your first time to this channel, thank you very much for visiting, and I'm hoping that what you're experiencing right now is this thought like this. You know, I could learn Tai Chi at home, especially if it's with this guy, David-Dorian, because he does layer it out for me. And so if that's the way you're feeling, then all you got to do is hit that subscribe button so we can start our lessons immediately. Like I said, I've got a ton more lessons all up here that I can't wait to share with you. Tomorrow is going to be all about the second half of the Lotus Kick. For those of you who have been following all the way along, once again, the biggest thank you that I have is thank you for the opportunity to share my Tai Chi with you. I really appreciate that. Have a beautiful evening, a great good morning tomorrow, and I'll see you in tomorrow's lesson.